Good afternoon, everybody. It is a beautiful day in L.A., and that is Lower Alabama here. L.A. Studios, the home of radio, A1A, Cruisin Country Radio, and Paradise Road Radio. My name is Harry T., also known as Harry Teaford, coined to Bone, and Billy Ray Flynn when I do Auburn football, but I try not to do any of that anymore. Today is a special day here in the studios. With me is a very cool guy and came up with that music you're hearing in the background right now. His name is Mr. Bob Durand. Hello, Bob. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Harry. How are you?
I'm pretty good. We're having a real busy day in the studio today. We're cutting some nice promotional things regarding independent, original, tropical songs written by independent singer-songwriters like yourself, Bob Durand. And there's something I want to show some. If you go to Bob Durand's website, where is that? What is the name of that site, Bob?
Simple enough. It's bobdurand.com.
bobdurand.com. I want to, if I may show you something right now, this is the All About Bob. You have a really laid-back attitude. It sounds like that you are definitely a product of New Orleans, Louisiana. Is that right?
Born and raised, yes, sir.
And now residing in the Redneck Riviera, Lower Alabama's sandy beaches of the Gulf Shores, Alabama, right?
That's correct, and loving it.
Well, you know something? That is one of those types of, there he is right there in the flesh. That right there is Bob Durand, ladies and gentlemen, on Radio A1A. And here he is with some tropical breezes behind him. We're going to hear some of the songs you do today because you've introduced some brand new ones, and our friend Lyle Wilson up in Indiana has been playing the heck out of them on weekdays with Wilson. Hello, Lyle Wilson.
Hello.
It's good to see you, my friend. It really is. This is the studios as you're seeing this video right now, and I'm sorry to be so out and about with changing the screens, but that's Bob Durand on the right side of your screen right there, setting up straight for Miss Jones. And I'm Harry T. right here, and I am wearing the Gulf Coast Musicians Medical Fund T-shirt, which we're going to be celebrating the fundraiser on October the 21st at the Point Restaurant, Point Clear, Florida, right?
No, it's
Perdido Key, Florida.
Perdido Key, it's
Point
actually
Clear.
on Innerarity Point, which is why they call it the Point.
The Point. I knew it was Point something, so Perdido Key, Florida, friends and neighbors, and that's Webb Dalton's event. But today, Bob Durand is with us right now, and he's going to do a couple of things for us. And as we are doing this, if you don't mind, we have some video of a bay down South Alabama. What is this video that we have in the background?
Well, I'm not sure which one you're using because I think we sent along a video of a few things. That one, okay, that is the actually Little Lagoon. And that is a little estuarial waterway that leads into the Gulf. And we live right there on that little body of water. And it's got one opening to the Gulf, so it's kind of a fresh water turning to salty, brackish water. It's perfect for kayaking, paddleboarding, canoeing, fishing, and we do all those things there.
Well, I have placed you in front of that in order for you to sing your first song. So if you don't mind, give us a little rendition and tell us a little about your songwriting. I'll get this out in just a minute. This is a live broadcast, by the way. Tell us a little about the creation of the song, if you don't mind.
Well, this song, the one I'm going to do first, is a song that I wrote. I think it's a few years old, and although I just recorded it, it goes back 3 or 4 years. And I wrote this song sort of as I guess you'd say, a thank you or a tribute to all the fans who listen to my songs and listen to tropical Americana music, whatever we choose to call it, that sort of music you listen to on a beach under a palm tree with a cold beverage in your hand and friends surrounding you.
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of my definition of the music I do, even though it's hard to define the genre sometimes. But so I wrote this song because I appreciate everybody who supports us as musicians and who are just good friends otherwise. And this is a song called I Raise a Toast to You. They say the winding roads all lead somewhere, and lonely rivers run to find the sea. We go through this crazy life together. Glad you're on this lonely road with me. There are times when I forget, and if I haven't told you yet, I raise a toast to you, my fellow travelers on this sphere. Here's to you. I don't know how, but we got here. I'm better off for having you beside me on this awesome trip we're on. Now here's to you. Made some bad decisions and some good ones. Done some things I wished I hadn't done. But no one's ever won the game by wishing, and the sky's just not the same without the sun. There are times when I forget, but if I haven't told you yet, I raise a toast to you, my fellow travelers on this sphere. Here's to you. I don't know how, but we got here. I'm better off for having you beside me on this awesome trip we're on. Now here's to you. Learned so much from listening, not talking. I've gained so much things I didn't do. For every trip around the sun, I pray I have another one, 'cause I'm not through. And I raise that toast to you, my fellow travelers on this field. Here's to you. I don't know how, but we got here. Better off for having you beside me on this awesome trip we're on. Now here's to you. Here's to you. Here's to you.
That's all about Bob right there. Bob Durand, for sure. And right now, we are live and indecent. That's right, not indecent. No, we're not. No, we're not. I'm Harry T. here in L.A., having a great time with Bob Durand, doing what we do best, probably, is talk about and sing music, man. You've been doing it for how long?
Well, I think it depends on whether you talk about how long I've been playing at all or when I started playing professionally. I started playing drums at the age of 8, so let's just say 60 years this year that I've been around music. First professional gig in 1974 as a drummer.
Wow.
And I've been doing this songwriter stuff probably since about 2012 or so, when I actually finally got the guts to get out from behind the drums and be the front person, to be out there all by myself on stage.
That is a background that probably had something to do with some maybe marching band?
Yeah, I did marching band for 5 years in high school, and that wasn't because I, flunked and had to repeat. My high school, Jesuit High School in New Orleans, had an 8th grade. So,
Yes.
so I was in the band as an 8th grader when I was 4'10", carrying a snare drum that was as big as I was probably, and so it was a little bit of a challenge back then.
Bob, this video and audio will go out to some YouTube channels and social media, and you have a following, and sometimes we spell it with a PH like Parrot Head Following, but the following kind of is crossing over a bit, is it not?
It is.
Have you seen that out there as you're playing?
Yes, and especially after retiring and moving over to Gulf Shores. Retiring from my day job, that is. I'm not retiring from music. But yeah, moving over to Gulf Shores, it's opened up a whole different sort of audience for me, and who have now become friends and who will also follow my music. And has become more of an Americana country influence, which I'm trying to integrate into how I write and tailor that to my overall sound, if that makes sense, and put out something a little different, a little broader than what I had been doing.
As we try to expose your music to as many people as we can through Radio A1A and Cruisin Country Radio,
sure.
Especially now that we're getting these new songs, which are more country Americana.
Yes.
These new ones you have. Lyle Wilson loves them. And you're going to have to do a cannonball in his pool probably because of that. What I'm trying to get to is that the people that follow you, are you seeing that they're more interested in the country styles that you're doing now? And are they focused, and where in the Sandhill can they hear something that is all originals? What place in Gulf Shores, for instance?
Well, the funny thing is, where I started out hearing just those original songs was in an open mic, actually in Perdido Key, Florida, called the Key Writers Night at the Breakfast Club in Perdido Key. And that is something that's put on by my buddy.
Tell them about it.
My buddy Nick Biebrick. And
they know about the Gulf Coast Musicians Medical Fund.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Nick is, and I'm hoping to pronounce his name right, it's Biebricher. It's Scottish, but he just goes by Biebre because nobody can pronounce it. So that's what he calls it. But Nick produced these 4 songs we worked in the studio together. So he brought a little different influence in, and I was actually looking to broaden a bit, as I said.
I see.
And so our instrumentation here was, for the first time, used dobro and used fiddle on one of my records. Still have never used steel pans, but that may change. But the instrumentation sort of changes that feel somewhat and gives it more of a bluegrass Americana kind of feel, which is different for me.
So there is a place, and what night is this, by the way?
This is on Monday night.
Monday night, how wonderful.
Every Monday night they'll have a featured songwriter starting at 6 p.m.
Perdido Key.
In Perdido Key at the Breakfast Club.
And this is where you move from country to Americana to tropical. You throw in all of these different styles in what you do there, right?
Well, the funny thing is, I just do my music there. I don't even try to appeal to an audience. I'm just me. And
I see.
People really have liked my music a lot, and I've picked up a lot of new friends, a lot of new songwriter friends over there, but also an audience over there who are not songwriters.
Well, you've got a live audience right now for us to try out another one of your songs.
Okay.
And we're going to do 3 today. We've done 1. Okay. And why don't you introduce this song? Take us into it. How you would have us do that? How you would do it at there on Perdido Key, though, on those nights? How you would?
Yeah, this is actually a song that I played there a lot. I played it a few times at another open mic that I did in New Orleans, which is I miss greatly. my friends Ron and Tina, who actually come over and play in Pensacola too, so they kind of get around. But I played this song much more at the Key Writers Night in Perdido Key than I have anywhere else, and of course at my live gigs. But this is a song that I co-wrote with my wife, who wrote a number of the lyrics for this, and we collaborated on this song. And it's a song as I tell people, it's
your wife. She has a name. What?
Yeah. My wife is kind of shy and doesn't like to be talked about. So sometimes she likes to fly under the radar. So I don't mention Joan Durand very often because Joan Durand gets very upset if I say her name a lot. So I won't say Joan's name anymore. Probably, I can't promise that, but I probably will.
I interrupted you.
That's okay.
And now, live from the Perdido Key, it's Bob Durand. No, live from L.A. studio. Excuse me. I
forget where we are sometimes, too.
I went there.
Anyway, just quickly, this is a song that we wrote based on some lyrics she started off with at a little place called Chiquiwawa in New Orleans, which is another live music club that has been around a long time. It's right on Canal Street, just outside of downtown. And we were there one night watching my friend Justin, and Joan looked around and saw these interesting things and people and said, this is a good nugget for a song. And so she gave it to me, and I wrote the chorus and bridge and the melody for the song. And then we actually sat down a little bit and refined it. And but this is really just a portrait of a music dive bar in New Orleans and some of the patrons who hang out there. And it's fittingly called Sermons from a Dive Bar. I'm also going to say this song goes out to a lot of people that I know who come to New Orleans and never leave. They get there and they love it so much, and also dedicate this to my friend Cindy Hall over in Texas, who loves New Orleans. This is where we find ourselves. This is where life finds us. No the bars and holes and walls and pain that still defines us. This is how we know all we have become. Whether you're born here or not, this is where you're from. Music growls and soars in all the dive bars. Upright pianos, mic from behind, to rouse the floors, pagoda tip jars. Memories in alcohol refined, indifferent hell, not bothered by much. Slightly white bars and forgotten metal signs. Lost and found lyrics nightly retouched. Soul pain and love bleed from the lines. Now this is where we find ourselves. This is where life finds us. And all the bars and holes and walls and pain that still defines us. This is how we know all we have become. It's whether you're born here or not, this is where you're from. Songs preached in the key of whiskey, from corner pulpit only inches high, by the city marinated in its history. Still the audience abides. Light meanders in through the front door. Sound of people and streetcars trickling by. Dive bar sermons fade like the sounds of a parade. Dive bar sermons fade, but they never die. Voices of the spirits fill the chorus. The echoes of New Orleans ride the breeze. Memories of the ones who came before us filter through like whispers through the trees. Floating down Canal Street from the river, riding on a wave of history, but like an ancient hymn, city sings to me. Now this is where we find ourselves. This is where life finds us. No the bars and holes and walls and pain still defines us. This is how we know all we have become. Is whether you're born here or not, this is where you're from.
Bob Durand, ladies and gentlemen, on Radio A1A. That is fabulous, Bob. How in the world do you find the words? I guess the inspiration of a lovely lady and her whispering in your ear some of the words too, right?
No doubt, yeah. I've always been a word guy, though. I do have a bachelor's degree in journalism, and so I've been a writer for a long time, and sort of never really used that journalism degree. Instead, worked in the medical field for a long time. That's another story for another time, I guess. But words have always meant a lot to me. I like to craft stories and paint pictures with the words if I can.
Painting pictures requires you to do guitar work, composition, arrangement, musical theory.
Yes, all of those.
And then to rhyme the word, find the words at the same time. That is what is such an amazing creation that happens when all of those things come together and you bake that cake with all those layers. And it comes out with as such a fine song as the last song. It was amazing.
Thank you.
But is it the inspiration to become a brain surgeon must be unique, but the inspiration to become a songwriter, that comes from somewhere else? I mean, I'm really intrigued about what makes you a songwriter like that.
Wow, I wish I could tell you what the recipe or the formula is for that. I don't really know. It just kind of happened. Back in the 80s when I was working professionally as a drummer, I was writing songs then too, and of course, being a drummer, I wrote on piano actually, which I don't play very well.
Interesting.
But I used to write songs on piano, and one of the reasons I picked up guitar is that I liked the songwriting process, but it was difficult not playing a melodic instrument, playing percussion and drums. So guitar was sort of a means to advance what I was doing and to do more with the lyric aspect, which I really love. And so started taking guitar lessons, and believe it or not, that Joan person again pops up, and she gave me for Christmas one year guitar lessons. Yeah. And I took lessons for quite a while and became, I'm certainly not a great guitarist, but became good enough to do what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I don't ever try to play lead guitar or anything, but I learned guitar so I could translate that into songs.
It works well for you there, Bob Durand.
Thank you.
From Gulf Shores, Alabama, and performing most around that area. Do you get out and about anymore to any of the other festivals, Parrot Head events, or other?
As a matter of fact, I do, and got a couple of things coming up that are on the calendar. The first one is a house concert at Concerts on Canal. That's also in the Perdido Key, West Pensacola area, but it's actually Perdido Key, very, very near, like some of the places like the Point over there in.
That is a fine concert. Even though he's an Auburn guy,
Yes, Judd is.
Judd is an Auburn guy, but bless his heart, as we say, us Tide fans. You're an LSU fan, probably, right?
I'm actually more of a, believe it or not, a Tulane fan. Of course, I worked at Tulane Medical School for 27 years.
The Greenway.
I was a fan before then.
But Judd, man, those two down there put on a concert that is world class. It's $20, and you cannot spend it better in any way, shape, or form. Bring your own ice chest.
Yes.
And you sit next to the canal. Concerts on the Canal. He has made it into something special. A new stage, sound system. It's amazing, is it not?
Yeah, and Judd and Gail Williams have been really good to me. They've helped me with, give me some opportunities to play there. Another one is coming up, but also to introducing me to other people, and that's been the best thing for me about living where I live now. The people that I've met to kind of expand what I'm doing. But
that's a follow-up to my question. Do you, the guitar, all those layers, do you ever take someone else's lyrics? Or would you allow someone to take your lyrics, and are you a songwriter that collaborates with another songwriter?
I'm not at this point. I've collaborated on 2 songs, one with Joan and another one with a friend over in Texas, this is another one of those things. My friend Buddy, we were on a cruise in the Caribbean, and he handed me a page of lyrics and said, "This is what I'm seeing." And I'm sorry, Buddy Morgan.
Oh yeah,
his full name. But he, at the end of this cruise, he handed me a sheet of lyrics and said, "This is kind of my observation of some things that went on during this cruise, and I don't know, you're a songwriter, maybe you can do something with this." And it actually sat in my wallet for a while.
Yeah.
And then one day I found it, looked at it again, and said, this has some potential. I could do something with this. And ended up writing the melody and writing the verses and the chorus, and it ended up finally being done. It hasn't been recorded yet. I want to do it one of these days. It's a song called Random Wind.
Ooh,
and
I like the concept.
The basis for that was we were sitting in St. Martin on the beach waiting to go on the cruise ship, and sailboat comes up, and on the sails it said Random Wind Charters. And and obviously, well, I'm not going to get into what the 2 juveniles, as we are, thought of Random Wind. We came up with something that wasn't very serious at first. But then later on, this resurfaced as we sometimes even we can be over, a certain age, 60 years old or whatever, and still be 12.
Yes.
But anyway, so that's the only other time I've collaborated. That song and the one I just played that I did with Joan, and but I'm more open to it. There's a lot of collaboration that goes on over in the coastal area over there, and often 2 or 3 people. And I've got friends who've written with some people they didn't even know who came in. Like, for instance, Concerts in Canal, I'll give them a plug. This weekend coming up, Erica Sunshine Lee is coming in.
Yes.
She'll be there Sunday. And she wrote, while she was there, songs with a couple of the local guys.
Yes.
And collaborated on those, and they've turned out to be some really nice songs. So it's made me curious about it, but I tend to be a little overprotective of my own words. And I don't know whether that's normal or not.
I have no say-so in it. But sometimes I like to see, I'm like the mad scientist that plug your head on someone's butt, in Daryl Clanton's guitar and your, to see how these, I know that's sick.
I just had that visual.
I did too. I'm sorry. That is awful.
Sorry, Daryl. It wasn't about you.
But you see where I'm coming from. This is a very unique genre. Everybody knows everybody, and when we start meeting at Meeting of the Minds and come together, there's going to be some amazing collaboration.
Yes.
Networking, enjoying each other's music. If everybody leaves their egos at home, sometimes, those types of things happen. Because it takes an ego to get your butt up on that stool in front of all those people, doesn't it?
It does. It truly does.
It does.
I'm really curious to see what happens when Modem comes to Gulf Shores, that some of the local songwriters get exposed to more of this trop rock, sort of tropical Americana.
It's going to happen. It's going to explode when they find that the actual grassroots music began there. Basically, what they're going to celebrate with Jimmy Buffett. Well, you live where it really began, where my musical career began down there. And we heard some things long ago that were just unusual. We couldn't put a name on it, and still can't.
Still can't, right.
And that's no problem, everybody. But I can put a name on your music. It's good. Bob Durand.
Thank you.
There's one thing that we promised each other we would do before this interview is to remind each other if there's anything we forgot, we wouldn't forget it. And what was it? What do you have on your notes there? We forgot.
Well, first of all, I didn't finish talking about what I've got coming up. And
yes,
I'm playing tomorrow at a little local restaurant in Foley at Mamma Mia's Pizza. In case anybody's in the area, really good pizza. And I'll be there tomorrow night. But next thing up, I'm actually doing a private party. It's something that's not open to the public, but it's going to be myself, Brighton Stoll, and Wes Loper performing. So
Brighton Stoll?
Yeah, Brighton's coming down to do this. And
holy moly!
And then in July 12th, I will be at Concerts on Canal opening up for Jimmy Parrish with my buddy Greg Dillard. So Greg and I are going to be the opening act for Jimmy.
And tell me that date one more time.
I'm sorry, July 12th.
July 12th.
I'm getting my dates confused. And then the last thing that really I have in front of me here that's on my calendar is Summer Party Gras in New Orleans. Jerry Diaz just booked me. I don't know what exact date. It's the 22nd and 3rd of September. And I don't know where I am on the schedule, but I will be at Summer Party Gras, which they called at one point Petite Party Gras, and then they called Gulf Coast Days originally. And it was really a pickup for 6-string music that was in New Orleans and kind of lapsed. And so Jerry did this to kind of fill that gap in the summer with our music.
We have to say a great big shout out to Jerry Diaz. We love him and all he's done for this music for over 30 years. He began the concept of Meeting of the Minds in New Orleans.
You did.
Were you there then?
I was there, but I knew nothing about it. Yeah. And so 30 years ago, that's in the 90s, 90. Hard to believe that 93 is 30 years ago now.
That takes us back to tropical music, and everybody may have a difficult concept of seeing tropical music in the New Orleans and the coon-ass area of the world, but it is extremely that way. A fellow by the name of Hank Williams went down there and discovered a pretty nice style of tropical jambalaya styled coastal music, did he not?
Yes, he did.
And that's Gulf and Western music.
Yep. And there's a little of that in some of my new songs too, some Gulf and Western sort of influences. And the funny thing is, in our house over in Gulf Shores, we have a New Orleans Jazz Fest poster. It's the Jimmy Buffett poster, and it's actually him standing on a corner in the French Quarter, busking basically. And he's got some New Orleans influences there too.
The Bayou Lounge was one of his first places he played after the Admiral's Corner here in Mobile, and that brings us to Gulf Shores, Alabama, where you're from, Bob.
Yeah.
And that's where he and I saw him actually shooting the photograph for the cover of Who's the Blonde Stranger there when I was playing at the Floribama many, many, many years ago. So thank you, everybody, for allowing us the time to bring Bob Durand into your home and onto your radio broadcast devices, smartphones, Alexa, and all the things that we can get out there to you. We love sharing music like Bob Durand's. Bob, just like we did did we forget anything?
Yes, I had one more shout out that I really want to do, and this is to and I'm going to call this my current band or group in New Orleans. We haven't played in a while because one of our guys has had some medical issues, and I'm in Gulf Shores, but I'm still going to go back. It's a group called the Sidewalls, and we do a lot of, we're all 3 original songwriters, but we do a lot of cover music, and we do 3-part harmonies, classic rock, and a little bit, everything from, Eagles, songs like Seven Bridges Road, with all those harmonies, and on up through Mamas and the Papas, and I'm forgetting right now the bands, but we do a lot of that. So I wanted to do a shout out to Eric Orlando and Mark Bellany, my buddies and my partners in crime in New Orleans. And you can book that at bobdurand.com, I'm sure, by going to the contact page, reaching out to him. It says contact right there. He's got his go there, please. Now, did we forget anything? I don't think so. And I'm making...
we did it.
I think we covered everything.
We did it. We did it, and it's been a pleasure to have you here in the studios. I can't imagine that this studio wasn't made for something just like what we're doing here. And a lot of the other singer-songwriters that are on radio A1A, you're welcome to come by here and be a part of this as well. 3 songs seems like a perfect number to do. Are you ready to give us our final Bob Durand original piece for today? And tell us all about it.
And I will also endorse that and say that this is a lot of you guys out there who are songwriters, guys and ladies. I'm sorry. These days there's a lot of women out there who are putting out some very good music.
Ooh, yes.
And it's not the good old boys club. It is certainly everybody, and it's open, and everybody takes part now. And I've got to be friends with a lot of new people, including some people like Aubrey Wallet, for instance, who has just become a friend recently.
Aubrey's amazing.
And saw her over at Rendezvous. But anyway, this song, the last song I'm going to do, is a song that I wrote for my wife. And what's her name again, Harry?
By the way, we're going to, like we had planned, we're going to just take it out with the music, folks. So this is the last talking you're going to hear, except for the fact that, may I do the introduction?
You may.
Ladies and gentlemen, the original singer-songwriter from Gulf Shores, Alabama, Mr. Bob Durand.
Thank you, Harry. This is called The Moon Gets a Rise Out of Her. Her eyes always turn to the heavens. Her heart always longs for the sea. She's always dreaming of places she wants to see. She doesn't like crowds that surround her. That isn't her vision of free. She's always dreaming of places she wants to be. She moves along to the words of a song that carry her over the rainbow. She finds a home in the dark all alone, going all of the places her heart goes. She finds a place in the heavens, place that her spirit prefers. When the moon rises, the moon gets a rise out of her. Thoughts always find the horizon. The dreams always yearn to run free. She's always dreaming of places she wants to see. In nature she finds her amazement, the sand and the sky and the sea. She's always dreaming of places she wants to be. She moves along to the words of a song that carry her over the rainbow. She finds a home in the dark all alone, going all of the places her heart goes. She finds a place in the heavens, a place that her spirit prefers. When the moon rises, the moon gets a rise out of her. When the moon rises, the moon gets a rise out of her.